This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Have to drive you crazy if you let it. 2-5 and devotion. You think that I don't really know this song, and I'm on YouTube singing it with lyrics, man. Dolly Parton, I don't know your music. You know what? And that's the intro. Girl, run it. Oh, welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah. Here's the thing. You hand me a mic where I can record and listen to myself. And honestly, all I want to do is sing. Can you blame a girl? You hand a girl a mic. You hand a beautiful, sexy, strong, independent woman a mic, headphones, and a computer, and you think she's not going to sing in that mic? Girl. Welcome back to the Distract Me Please podcast. I'm your host, Brianna Silva, and today I am here by myself all to talk about my books. My boo. Okay, I'm going to limit the singing for this episode. I'm really going to try to limit the singing for this episode because it does get annoying. And maybe not to you, but it does to me, especially when I'm like listening back to the episodes and I'm like, God damn, she's singing again. But here's the thing, right? I think it's the funniest thing in the world. I think it is so funny when people who obviously can't sing get up on a stage and sing like they're Mariah Carey. Ain't nothing funnier, stupid. Sure. Anyway, I'm standing up to record, but I don't want to stand up anymore. So I'm trying to sit on my silent chair, because if I have a loud chair, why don't I sit on the silent chair? The thing is, the silent chair is a metal stool. Here's the thing. I don't want to sit on a metal stool. So then I sit on that loud, creaky chair. But then as I edit and I hear the chair in the background, it makes me so mad. So that's what it makes me want to do, right? And so we don't want that. We don't want that. So we're going to sit in the uncomfortable chair, right? Okay, so I'm here to talk about my books, all right? As you can see, obviously, I almost fell. Oh my God. That was not fun. I never realized how short I am until it's time for me to get up on a tall chair. I'm only 5'5", okay? It's not like I'm obnoxiously small, okay? I'm average. I'm not obnoxiously small, all right? I'm not Sabrina Carpenter, 5 feet, Ariana Grande, 5 feet. No. I got 5 inches on them, okay? I'm 5'5". But you best believe every single time I get up on a relatively tall chair, I look at it and go, this is going to be a struggle. Any bar chair, bar stool, the second I have to step up or lift my leg up to get on, babes, it's going to be an issue. Because, a regular size chair, you sit down, you want the 90 degrees in the knees, right? Bars. A bar chair, no, baby. It wants to lift you up. Here's the thing. 5'5", that is I think 5'6", 5'7" is the last height you can be to or the What am I trying to say? So like 5'6", 5'7", I really think it's more 5'7" is the height that you need to be to comfortably get on those chairs at a, like any reasonable bar stool. Like 5'7" is the height you need to be to start comfortably getting on those chairs. 5'5", it's not that I can't get up on them. It's that it's a tiny bit of a struggle. And here's the thing. I'm a plus size girl. All right. We're a big girl. Okay. We're plump and happy, as I told Ben today. Literally, I was like, I want to be plump and happy like a dumpling. Like, being fat does not bother me. It's when other people think it should bother me. And so they start harassing me because they're like, you're fat. You should be really upset by that. And I'm just like, no, you're just fat phobic. Like, being fat doesn't bother me, but obviously me being fat bothers you. Like, make it make sense. I'm the one who holds my belly rolls when I go to bed and cuddle myself. Like, babes, please get out of my face. All right, but the point is, plus size girl, short plus size girl, getting up on a stool. I'm not short, I'm average. So average plus size girl getting up on a stool. You can imagine it looks like a roly-poly who was flipped on their back. Better yet, a cockroach flipped on their back. Just struggling. Just rolling and struggling. Okay? And so I don't like tall chairs. I love a tall table because they're usually isolated, away from everyone. Hate the chairs. Every single time someone walks up to a tall table with tall chairs, I look at them like, can you shoot me instead? Because it's the 3 seconds of struggle for me to properly scooch my body onto the chair. And then using that little, that little metal step that's always in these tall chairs because it's a place to like rest your foot. I always need to use it to step on the chair. See, but then that scares me because those are definitely there as a footrest, right? Not a way to get up on the chair. So then I get scared that if I put my whole back into stepping on this metal bar, if I break the chair, I simply have to kill myself. And you can't tell me anything else. I simply have to kill myself because why am me, a plus size girl, okay, short plus size girl, looking at a metal bar on the floor of a chair I obviously tried to get on. The metal bar is on the floor. Baby, and enough self-confidence in the world for me to survive that. Not enough. So I don't care if like a worker or if I'm at someone's house, I don't care if they come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, no, it's fine. Like, girl, no, those chairs were rusty, busty, dusty. Like, it was going to happen to anyone. It just happened to be you. Don't worry about it. Like, it's completely okay. No, I have to kill myself because this chair just called me a fat hippo. And listen, when you start having inanimate objects calling you fat, hey, maybe you don't need to be on this earth anymore. And so all this to say, my stool is at full height and I tried to sit on it to push it down and I almost fell off. Anyways, back to the point of this podcast, which was literally for me to be able to talk about my books. Okay, so spoilers. I'm not holding back. This is for anyone who has read the Crave series because it's been my favorite book series. It's the book series I'm currently on. I recorded the last podcast episode. What's today? Is it 20th? I recorded on the 18th. So 2 days ago. So I am now on page 548. I think when I was recording that, I think I was closer to page 2. No, I was on page 300 because I was laughing about the fact that I've had the book for 24 hours and I was already on page like 200 and something, like 300. I made myself some broccoli pasta. No, let me talk about it before we talk about the books. So 548. If you are not on page 548, aka chapter, let me read it. Chapter 133 of the book Covet, which is book 3 of the Crave series with the girl and the vampire boys and they take a bite out of her and they're kind of sexy. Yeah, that one. Explains every vampire book out there. Okay, if you're not that far into the series, this podcast episode is not for you. And I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear you say, I was reading and you spoiled it. Okay, spoiler alert. These books have been out for 2 years. Actually, I don't know when the last book came out. I do think book 1 came out in 2021 though. But Oh no, wake up in the morning and go to the kitchen, pour my cup of ambition. Damn, I wish I knew the lyrics. I forgot what I was about to tell y'all. If I'm being honest, I was gonna go on a tangent, but I forgot the tangent. Books, reading, my pasta. Girl, it was so good. It was so good. So I woke up this morning and I just wanted buttered nudes. If you don't know what buttered nudes are, it's literally just boiled pasta. You put some butter in it, or you can do olive oil, and you just season them. That's it. No sauce, no nothing, just some buttered nudes. And I was craving it with a side of broccoli, and I was like, dude, that's gonna be so good. I don't know why I'm eating like a 2-year-old who doesn't have their palate developed yet, but like, it was calling my name this morning. So then I go ahead, I boil my broccoli. Okay, let's be honest, it was the frozen broccoli that you put in the microwave, because I ran out of fresh broccoli, and like frozen broccoli lasts longer. So oh my God. I love broccoli. It's my favorite vegetable. So I always have to buy a lot, meaning I have to get the frozen one and the fresh one, because I am going to fly through the fresh one, but I buy so much. And we already know produce in America lasts approximately 2 hours after you bring it home. Like you literally get home, you literally go from the grocery store, zoom it on the way home. I mean, gassing it. I'm talking about like you're in the middle of 5 stars in GTA 5, because literally you have to speed so fast. You're hitting cars, you're hitting pedestrians, your car's on fire, it's damn near about to explode. If you hit someone else, the helicopter is above you, all types of cops and SWAT team, you're now getting shot at. I'm talking about everything, right? On your way driving home from the grocery store, you get home, you throw your produce in the fridge, you don't even like look at it, you don't wash it, you don't think about it, you literally get home, run through the door, cops still trying to get at you, they're trying to break down your door now, you open your fridge, you throw that produce in there, you slam the fridge shut, and you're like, woo, that should at least give me a week worth of produce. 2 hours later, you're like, oh, I really want that mango that I just bought at the store 2 hours ago. Like, I evaded the cops. You know, my 5 star is down to 1 star. I had a cheat code. You go to the fridge, you open it up, you look at your produce. Everything is black, moldy, and mushy. And you're just looking at it like, what the hell happened? Like, I don't get it. We need a way for produce to last longer. And truly, 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 I just believe it's just from my understanding, I can't even say that I've done little to no research. I used to be in I used to be in the College of Agriculture and Sciences. Oh my gosh, I'm literally wearing the shirt. Texas A&M College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. Yeah, I used to be an animal science major, so I had to study agriculture and food and meat and all the processes and stuff. And basically, when you're just doing it on a large scale, like commercial farming, there is things that you have to do because you need the produce to last through like shipping and getting it to stores and, you know, making sure that it's passing all the safety tests and whatnot of the government, even though like all the Chevron laws have been overturned and FDA isn't as powerful anymore and blah, 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 blah. But before that happened, yeah, just like all the time of the food is basically spent basically being prepared to be shipped to your door, kind of. And then by the time it gets to the grocery store, and it just so many... The grocery store. I'm not speaking English. Like I am speaking English, but it's not making sense because I wasn't prepared to come on here and talk about it. Moral of the story. It's a long time from picking it to inspecting it to shipping it, and then the grocery stores get it and they're buying in large bulks, and so they're putting it out to be all pretty in your grocery store when you go to buy it, and then not all of it gets bought. So before you know it, the produce has actually been there for a really long time, and so by the time you bring it home, like it's already at the end of its shelf life, girl. Like it's already spoiling. And truly, produce that's like picked fresh out the ground actually can last months. Your carrots can last months. Your potatoes can last months. I'm trying to get more into like gardening fruits and vegetables because I really, really love gardening. I love growing flowers. I love indoor plants, girl. Ooh, I would love to have an indoor greenhouse, but actually I take that back. Actually, I've never been on TV before, but actually I would not want that because the second you accidentally overwater just a little, not to even kill the plant, but the soil holds a little too much moisture for like 1 too many days, you get those little nasty gnats in the house. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And just like having 5 plants in the house, that's it. That's it, girl. You are chasing invisible gnats throughout your house for the rest of, boy. Ooh, so I hate it. So I don't think I would actually ever have an indoor greenhouse, but I love plants. I love the thought of like, oh my gosh, if I just grow my own food, I have so much food for free, because like it's so insane when you really think about it, how many things we actually get for free, but capitalism and having to just basically find a way to trade people for their necessities. So like, I don't want to sit here and plant potatoes, so I'm going to get potatoes from a farmer, but like, we live in a capitalistic society, and the way we trade is with money. And so this farmer is like, hey, you want potatoes to survive? I got potatoes for $5.99 because it's organic, and I sang it a lullaby every day. So for labor and organic farming, which is literally just not using any chemicals. Is it chemicals? Basically, organic is the equivalent of, I literally had to learn this in class. So there's a certain preservative. This is just an example. This is not exactly it. But like when they say, oh, it's organic, so we don't use any pesticides or chemicals, this is the difference. There's a chemical that you can use to preserve food. Well, celery naturally makes that chemical. And so in order to put an organic label on it, and you need that specific chemical to preserve the food, it's cheaper in a lab. But blend up a bunch of celeries and put the food in celery juice, and there you go. It's the same thing. And that's the difference between like organic and non-organic. So like the same chemical is being used, except they're just not like breaking it down and making it in a lab. And I understand that in a lab, there's more chances for human error and for people to get sick. But honestly, I'm more worried about how clean and sanitary everything is in the factory than whether or not this is organic with chemicals or not. Like, girl, BFFR. Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm very passionate about those things. Or when like people are like, milk is so bad for you. Like, girl, don't get your nutritional advice from an influencer. Like, there are people out there who are becoming registered dietitians, or who are registered dietitians and nutritionists who do promote their stuff online. That's who you need to listen to when it comes to food advice, because everyone's body is very, very different. Don't go listening to the girl who lives in LA who has so much money that it's like a trend for her and it's so cool for her. Oh my gosh, there's this celebrity who's literally like, oh, I fast for like 3 days straight because I realize it's been giving me more energy and stuff. Like, I need you to understand the level of money you have to be like, oh yeah, I'm fasting for 3 days because like it was better for my health and gave me more energy and like it helps me like pump harder. Like, you have to understand the level of privilege. You call it fasting. There are people out there who simply call it Tuesday because it's kind of hard to afford groceries. And so it's like you either eat ramen for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or when you're tired of it and your tummy hurts, you just like let it go and sleep it off. So you call it fasting. I call it Tuesday, babes. So and so like, you really need to be careful with that, because people who do have these big platforms, even if they don't show it, they really do have a lot of money. And at the age that I'm at, like as an adult with literal, I'm going to say it again, because as I said, it's literally my personality now. But as an adult with a bachelor's degree, who's out here actively trying to get into corporate America and actively like looking at salaries and doing the math to see if I could afford rent and groceries and everything. When you realize the cost of life, you realize over and over again the massive display of wealth that's actually on social media. And Financial Diet does a really good job about talking about that, about how all these influencers have this massive display of wealth. Everything they do is such a massive display of wealth. And like, I didn't get it until I had to get it, until I was forced to get it. And now I've literally told my friends, like, all these influencers who I've been following for years and years, I've had to start unfollowing them, because as I'm watching it, I can't unsee the critic. The critic in me can't separate, oh, this is just fun, entertaining content. This is their life because they've worked really hard as an influencer. I can't separate that from the critic who's also sitting there going, damn, you're out of touch. And I know we've talked about that for years, but I've officially got to the age where I truly understand how out of touch it is. Like, You know, I'm watching influencers take a 5-bedroom house and one specific room is just for their closet, and they have like bags and purses and shoes behind them and a vanity, and like that room is specifically theirs to just look pretty. And they have all their Birkins and their Chanel's and their Louis Vuittons and all of the Hermes and the Chanel's and like all of it. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to do this one day. And it's like so aspirational, because it's like, oh my gosh, I watched this person go from rags to riches. This is so beautiful. Like it could be me one day. But it's like, that's what they're selling, baby. That's what they're selling, that this could be you. And then their financial advice, their relationship advice. I'm just sitting there like, this doesn't pertain to me in any way, shape, or form. Like, you're talking to a specific audience, and you know that audience exists because now you hang out with a group of people who live this life. But like that whole, to an extent, does it apply? Yes. But the whole like, oh my gosh, like I hold myself to a specific standard and I want to attract a certain man. So I only dress up every single day and on my like bougie outfits. And I only need a man who like comes to me, who wants to pay everything, who like wants to buy me a mansion, who wants to buy me a G-Wagon. And I know we love that. I know we love to tell ourselves that. Statistically, a rich man's going to marry a rich woman. And if a rich man is going after your poor self, your middle class self, you know, I'm not even gonna call you poor. My bad. I'm poor. I'm projecting. I'm unemployed. I'm projecting. My bad. But you, little middle class man making $90,000 a year, working your 9 to 5, looking damn good, hard worker. Yes, girl. Will always applaud all my women working hard out there. A billionaire is not coming to you. A billionaire is not coming up to you. Because yes, while you are outpacing in the career field, the regular men around you, and you're sick and tired of these men, and how are you 30, 40 years old and still acting like the 17-year-old men I dealt with in high school? Make it make sense. I don't know. But that billionaire ain't coming to you, because that billionaire wants to marry someone whose net worth is close to his. And so sometimes when I hear that advice and it's taken as like, no, this is serious. Like, oh, who is it? That Russian girl who's like, go find rich husband, baby. I love her because like, it's so joking, but it's enough satire that you understand, like, girl, hold your standards up. Like, if you want a man to pay the bill, get a man who pays the bills, get a man who pays for dinner, get a man, like, you know, get a man who treats you good, get a man who knows like, hey, you're my woman and I just want to take care of you. And like, he does that, but like, you still have your paycheck in the bank and you're like still hiding it, right? And like, that's so true, you know? Like, I feel like you're able to aspire to that on any level, no matter your income. But it's the influencers who come on here and they're like, I make my own money. I'm successful for myself. And so I need a man who makes a minimum of 7 figures. And like, you should not be wanting anything less. And they're so dead serious, like so dead serious, selling classes on it, like creating cult followings off of it. And they're like, yeah, this is how you attract a billionaire. And they're so serious. They're like, and it worked for me. I told a man if he wanted to have sex with me, he needs to Venmo me $20,000. And guess what he did? Okay, well, guess what? You yourself was making a minimum $2 million a year because you are an entrepreneur, because you're a content creator and life coach and a very successful one. So you made a minimum of $2 million a year on a slow year. And so this man who Venmo'd you $20K was genuinely nothing, because he's making a minimum of like $3 to $5 million a year. You know, like, they're on the same level. It's the same thing with like the whole trad wives with Nara Smith and Ballerina Farm. These girls have multi-million-dollar businesses as content. Who is it? Ballerina Farm. She's a content creator. She's like selling merch and all this stuff. And then Nara Smith, who is a content creator and a very successful model. Before she went viral, she had a big, beautiful house. That woman was bringing in shmoney. Okay. And now her brand is just like the traditional stay-at-home wife kind of, but it's like, you're not, because a traditional stay-at-home wife made no money and her husband went out and worked. And so that left her in a position where if her husband died, which is something that Ooh, let's not get there. I've witnessed that happen where, sometimes we think of like, oh, it's the cheating and like he beats you and he abuses you and like you have to leave, but you can't because he has money. And then he leaves you for a hotter, younger woman and you're left in the dust. Like that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you can truly fall in love and truly have a long lasting relationship. And I've seen that happen to someone very close to me where true loving long-term relationship and homie died and they were left with nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not $1 in the bank because that man got up every day and worked hard for his family that he loved. And when he passed away, $0 were left in the bank account for anybody. And so sometimes take a step back. 24 minutes in and not a single conversation of books happened. Girl, let me sit down. Let me sit down and talk to you. So Crave. Actually, put the Hannah Montana transition song right here, right now, because like, so we can, what am I saying? I don't want to sit. This chair is uncomfortable. Yeah. Anyway, so Crave. So I've been reading this series for the past couple of weeks. I actually don't know how many weeks. I want to say like 3 weeks now, maybe a month. I actually don't think it's been a full month yet, but I think we might be coming up on a full month of me reading this book. But guys, So I titled this podcast episode, The Girl with a Semicolon Tattoo, because I do have a semicolon tattoo on my wrist. But also, as I've said recently, life has been lifing for me a little bit too much recently. And I've had to deal with like a lot of grown-up adult situations that aren't necessarily new to me, but due to my age are hitting just a little bit harder. And when I tell you this book has been allowing me to process those emotions, I forgot who said it. There's an author who said, or was it a statistic? I don't know. I heard it somewhere. It could have been on TikTok. This truly could be fake and I could be making this up. But someone said that the best way to process emotions is through fictional. I'm sorry. I thought Connie started barking. Oh my gosh, you might need to go outside to potty. Oh, I'll take care of that in a second. But the best way to process emotions is through fictional stories, because through these fictional stories, you can basically see yourself in the character. You don't always need a non-fictional book. And especially with fictional works of literature, you're able to truly understand it on a deeper level and really connect with the characters instead of just like a regular autobiography, right? And I'm really noticing that in this book, like all the struggles of her not feeling good enough, feeling weak, feeling like she's so broken and life has left her so broken. And then she was able to connect with someone who was also very broken. Jaxie Waxy. I was Team Jackson so hard. Oh my God. I literally was like, I need a Jackson in my life. The second Hudson came around and you see how Jackson was what she needed at the moment, which was someone who understood love and loss at a very grand scale, which is definitely something that like I've been dealing with. For her, she lost both her parents, and life be lifing. She lost both her parents and suddenly she was forced to live this life. And so she's dealt with love and loss on a very grand scale. And for Jackson, his loss was he never had the love of his parents because they both were like basically climbing for political power and this and that. And in book 3, we're kind of starting to see like, well, yes, but the mom wasn't necessarily. And it's like, ooh, plot twist. But anyways. And so they needed each other. They needed to be able to lean on each other. And that love was so grand and beautiful. And it was like, oh my gosh, yes. And he wanted to protect her at every cost. But then suddenly Grace finds out she's a gargoyle, and she finds her strength. She finds her power. And when she realizes like she's more than just this weak little human who can't protect herself, she's like, oh my gosh, I can protect myself and I can make decisions for myself. And I actually have a voice, which is something like, it's so small in a fictional book. And sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, of course, the little petite, tiny, frail little girl who's like the strongest person out there. Connie, do you need to potty? Okay, I need to pause. Connie needs to potty. Whoa, oh. Make it count, play it straight. Don't hold back, don't hesitate. Well, you go big time. What you are, what you feel. Moral of the story, going through like such a grand loss at a scale like that, it really, like, you really do lose your voice. When you just feel so broken inside, you do lose your voice. You do lose your strength because you feel so weak. And it's slowly when you're forced, and oh my God, emphasizing that. I understand the manifestation, the Lulu girls who are like, you know, pick yourself up, manifest this, blah, 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 blah. But truly, it's really hard to do that when you're not forced to, right? And so when she was forced to be in this position where Leah's literally turning her into a human sacrifice and Jackson is nowhere in sight, and she's sitting here having to come up with a plan to get herself off the altar. She's sitting there having to come up with a plan on how to survive. She, with her own willpower, is pushing herself through this. That is when she finally started to find strength, and she was forced to, because there was no one else to help her but herself. And she had found so much strength that when it came time and Hudson appeared and was about to decapitate Jackson in front of her, she just went, all right, man, you know what? My will to live ain't even there, and I love this man. So I'm just I'm gonna take one for the team and like end it at. But that's not what happened. And she survived. And you find out like Hudson's really amazing. And I think Tracy Wolff did a really good job at writing well-rounded characters who make bad decisions. Because then we got to find out from Hudson's point of view, he did the best with what he had, right? And we're really having to acknowledge this in book 3 as he's in the chamber going through the prison. And he's, you know, going through the chamber and he's reliving every bad thing he's had to do, which was force people to kill people that they loved as they were screaming to make it stop. And you hear Grace say, like, she goes using the mating bond into his dream, and she's just like, yeah, what you did was really bad, but I need you to forgive yourself because you did the best with what you have. And as long as you do that, that's all anyone can ever ask for you, because regrets are always going to come. No matter what decision you make, regrets are always going to come. And I literally closed the book and I cried. The other part that I cried, I think it was in book 1, but was it in book 1? I'm pretty sure it was in book 1, but who was it? Was it Gwen? No, I don't think it was Gwen. It was one of the witches who turned around to Grace in the class and said, it's a Chinese proverb. And it basically means if the human is born, I literally have it in my Goodreads, like notes and highlights. I will literally find it, because when I say I read it over and over and over and over to the point that I literally wrote it down. Oh my gosh. I'm reading my 37th book of the year. Woo. Hold on, where is it? See all activity in this book. If heaven made someone, earth can find some use for them. And that literally made me sob. If heaven made someone, earth can find some use for them. Because yes. Oh my gosh. It's just like, and Grace said, how did you know that I needed to hear that? Because at that point, Grace was struggling with feeling so useless. Because even though she, you know, finds out that she has these powers, she doesn't know how to use them. She doesn't know how to help people. And then this girl turns to her and says, if heaven made someone, earth can find some use for them. Oh my, it literally made me like look at my semicolon tattoo. It was like, yeah, there's a reason I'm still here. Like literally sobbing and just sobbing as Grace is finding her voice. And as she's telling Hudson, yes, you made some really bad decisions. I am not going to sit here and tell you that they weren't, because it was. And it was truly horrible. But you did the best with what you had. And that's all I can ask for you. And you need to forgive yourself. Because as long as you did the best with what you had, that's it. Regret will always come. And I felt that so hard, because now the older I'm getting, the more regrets I'm starting to gain, just because I'm now making more decisions for myself. And I always have these moments when I start getting deep into those thoughts of like, oh my gosh, I regret doing this. I regret doing this. I regret doing this. And I start ruminating on it. I always have to tell myself, well, I can say I regret it with hindsight. But if I go back to that place, to the person who I was, I, without a shadow of a doubt, said, this is the best decision. If I make this decision, it's going to lead me to prosperity. It's going to lead to good outcomes for me and everyone around me. It just makes the most logical sense. This is a logical, best decision. And it's only after years have passed, after that decision, that I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And it's like, one, that shows growth. It shows that you're learning. But two, you did the best with what you could. It's only now in hindsight that you can say that was a horrible decision because you know the outcome. But before you knew the outcome, you sat there, you weighed the pros and cons and said, this has the least amount of cons. I'm going to make this decision. And now that you're on the other side of that decision, you realize there was a lot of cons that you didn't see. And so I literally was just crying because I was like, dude, that's literally my life. That's my life. And just like the way that she's experiencing love of like, she had this love, she had this boy that she was loving, but they were just like fighting constantly in book 2. Yeah, book 2. Because he's just like, I'm here to protect you. Like, huh? And it's like, bro, yes, because she needed you. She literally needed you when you first met her. But she's a changed person. She's gone through a lot. You know, that literally changes the person. And he wasn't ready for that change. And he wasn't ready for her to speak up and be there and do things for herself. And so even though Jackson's not a bad person and he's still a lovable character, he's not the best person for her. And I'm definitely sitting here like, oh my God, I have been relating to that message so badly of like, this is a really great person. And they were a really great partner, but they're not the best person for you. Because your needs have changed, you have gone through some ups and downs, and what you thought you wanted at the beginning of this relationship is not what you need anymore. And you need the person to either step in line with that or step out. And she was just basically put in a position where she was forced to step out because this book did it with the change of the mating bond and then finding out that like her mating bond was actually manufactured and it was never meant to be put in place. And this is her true mate and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like on a personal human level, like so can understand that of like, you're trying, but your needs have changed because you as a person have changed. And so now you're wanting different things out of the relationship that you didn't even know. You like, like literally 6 months ago, you would have never said this was what you wanted. But now suddenly circumstances have changed. You have changed. And now you're like, hey, I kind of want this. But that person was never expecting to give that to you because that's not what you wanted when you first entered this relationship. And so like just on a human level, I feel like that looks like when life starts pulling you separate places or you just can't see eye to eye anymore. And it's just like, you're just so exhausted that you're just like, you know what? We're done. And so it was just like really seeing that and truly understanding. And it just gave me a sense of peace because yes, that great partner, Jaxie Waxy, love that nickname for him. Jaxie Waxy, amazing person, an amazing man, but he wasn't the best person for Grace. And Hudson is. And that's so evident. I just kicked the hell out of my computer. I just kicked the hell out of my computer desk. But you can see that in the way that even though they're arguing, they're on the same level of they have their walls built up so high to not let anyone in. And it's like they're both resisting it because they're like, no, because, you know, they're people who have gone through a lot of love and loss. And so they're just saying no to it. But at the same time, like they're still like pulling into each other. Dude, it's so beautiful. And seeing how she's recognizing like, hold on, Hudson has always been there for me. No matter how obnoxious and annoying and sarcastic he is and how cocky he is, he's been there for me. He's always allowed me to make my own choices. He's always chosen a path to not hurt people, and he's really changed as a person, and she's like falling in love with that. And I'm just like, this book has me giggling and kicking my feet and like coming to terms with life. Dude, it's like I keep saying like my books have been choosing me recently because I think that's why at this point in time I feel so mentally stable. I think this is one of Yeah, I will say that. I think this has been some of the hardest things that I've gone through recently. I mean, I literally had one of the biggest scares of my life. Like, I literally had a mole on my body. I kid you not, 2 months ago, I had a mole on my body, and I was like, I need to go get that checked out. Go get that checked out, have them remove it, have them biopsy it. And I get a phone call saying like, hey, yeah, those cells were abnormal. And the entire time the doctor's like, hey, it's not skin cancer yet. Not skin cancer yet. That's something I never thought I would experience in my life, was actually catching cancer before it happened, going to urgent care, like, and so many other things that I don't even talk about on this podcast. Just so many family things that I'm going through. And so it's been like one of the hardest times in my life, but the most mentally sane that I have ever felt. And a lot of it is because I have learned to, how do I put this? Like, I've learned how to kind of manage my mental health, and realizing like, Brianna, you can't think a way out of a situation. So don't lie in bed thinking about it. Instead, get up and just take action. Thoughts are going to get you nowhere. Like, literally no thoughts. Just keep moving. Because what has ever helped me was acting on intuition, barely thinking about it. And if I really need to think about it, truly, I only need to take 1 to 2 minutes to think about it. And then it's like, all right, I know what I'm going to do. Like, I always know what I need to do. Right. And so no longer ruminating on everything that I'm experiencing, but forcing myself to read. Every time I have some downtime, just read. You don't need to sit here. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to lie down in bed. You don't need to scroll through social media. I haven't been on social media that much, to the point where there's so many times my mom is like, did you hear this? And I'm like, no, because all my news came from social media, and I'm not reading through social media anymore. Instead, I'm reading a newsletter that's giving me all the world news and actually giving me facts instead of people's opinions online, which is insane because I have a podcast that's all my opinions. So like, take that with a grain of salt. But truly just focusing on what I love to do. And then I literally was doing affirmations. So I'm like meditating, working out, focusing on just eating really healthy, focusing on reading, focusing on sleeping. And I'm focusing so much on not just surviving, but surviving in a healthy way that I don't have time to let my thoughts ruminate. And it's helped with my anxiety. It's helped with my depression. Like, it's helped with everything. And I keep telling myself, there is so much going on at one time that I can't let myself lose mental stability like I used to in the past. Like, the second life got crazy, my mental health went with it, and I would instead ride those mental health waves. If I was feeling down, I would let myself feel down. I would let myself cry it out. I would, and I would think that like nurturing everything I wanted to do at those times was what was healthy for me. But in reality, I needed to do the complete opposite. I needed to say, I understand this is how you feel. I understand this sucks, but you're going to get up and you're going to go take a walk. You're going to get up and you're going to go read. You're going to go get up and do yoga. You're going to get up and go garden instead. Like, I understand this sucks. I understand you want to sit here and just think about it, but we're going to get up and we're going to do something else. And we're going to put so much effort into these other things that you literally can't sit here and just think about it. It sucks, but just keep going. Right? And that, it literally, I was like, damn, no wonder why people are like, oh, when you eat better, when you live better, you feel better. Because so much of your time, it takes so much energy to go and work out. It takes so much energy to go find meals that are really healthy for you and good for your body. It takes so much energy to go throughout your day that by the time you lie down, you are tired. And then to say, I want to read, and I'm going to force myself to read. Well, for me, I don't have to force myself. Every second I get, I do try to read instead. Not try. I actually want to read to procrastinate everything that I'm doing. So reading to procrastinate sleep, amazing. So I'll read instead. And just all these small changes, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. Mentally, I feel amazing. But if I had to recap the past couple of months of my life, you would be terrified for me. And I truly mean that, because I update all my friends every time like something crazy happens in my life. And I will never forget when I told that 3-person group chat with a funny name, hey guys, this just happened to me. Literally, Lauren Lauren just went, oh my God, Brianna, you can't catch a break.
Baking Hershey's Kisses Peanut Butter Blossoms is the perfect way to celebrate the holiday season with friends and family. With their classic, rich, creamy milk chocolate taste, there's no better way to heartwarm the holidays than by baking with Kisses chocolates. Find Hershey's Kisses holiday chocolates at your favorite retailer.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
And I was like, yeah, I know I can't. Like, girl, who are you telling? But it's like I get to laugh about these things and I actually feel good about it. And so that's been really nice. And so if everyone can go do me a favor and tell Ben, Brianna's not depressed. Send him this part of the podcast, actually. Just like literally screen recorded and just like DM him this. His, what's his Instagram name? You might get a better hold of him on Twitter. But I don't know if you can actually, I came here to read Ben's email. Not email, girl. I'm at his Instagram. Ben doesn't use Instagram, so we're going to Twitter. Okay. Because he's always like, Brianna, you're so depressed. You're so this, you're so that. And I'm just like, I have my days where I'm sad, but I'm not actually depressed recently. So like, leave me alone. I hate spam messages on social media. Okay. It's BSEAMANB. And his like little at name or whatever, that's his at name, is BSeamanB. So BSEAMANB. And then his like username is self-director because he was my creative director. And basically we got into so many fights that he quit on me. But that's besides the point. Okay. Anyways, I'm done podcasting. But yeah, so that's how this book has changed my life. I didn't deep dive into the book the way I thought I wanted to. I really did want to talk about this series like crazy, but honestly, I feel like I've just been doing nothing but talking about it to people. That by the time I got in here, I had nothing to say. I'm so scared because the place that I'm at, they're currently trying to escape from the prison. They just told the giant, like, hey, met your wife. Help us escape. Help us free the unkillable beast. Oh, you know what's been pissing me off? Why does Grace trust everybody within a 5-mile radius? And I know we're starting to see her finally like not trust people, but girl, from the second someone told me that this girl purposely killed my parents to purposely get me at this school, I would not even trust a fly. I could see a mosquito in my room and I would be like, it's the government coming after me. Girl. And yet every single time she's like, I think we should trust them. I think we need to find someone to trust. And I'm just sitting there like, dude, this is exactly like she's an unreliable narrator. She is an unreliable narrator and not, that's it. Like, that's it. I was going to be like, and not in the way, but no, because thinking back to, what's that? Edgar Allan Poe, his poem about the telltale heart with the heart beating from the floorboards. And so like he was an unreliable narrator because he kept going like, I'm not going crazy. But he was clearly going crazy. That's it. That's how I feel about Grace. But not to that extent. We're not watching her like go crazy, but this is a girl who knows nothing about the paranormal world and she's not listening to the literal voices in her head. She's just burying everything underneath, which I get because she has like chronic anxiety, dude. And the way she has panic attacks, oh my God, because same. That's exactly how I have panic attacks. Like literally when you're dealing with like really bad anxiety, you'll feel the panic attack coming on and you literally have to shut the world out. Take deep breaths and ground yourself. It's not even funny the amount of times I will literally just be in a public setting and someone's just talking to me and it's like one word will trigger it or one thought will trigger it and suddenly my heart's beating. I'm starting to hyperventilate a little, starting to get tunnel vision, starting to feel woozy because I've also learned like my panic attacks now, I get literal vertigo. and the world will literally just start spinning around me, and I'm very lightheaded and I can't walk. And so then that makes me scared, because then I'm like, oh my gosh, am I also going through like a medical thing? And it'll just like add on and add on and add on until I'm having like a horrible panic attack where I genuinely think I'm having a heart attack and dying. And so now that I've recognized it and I realize that's what's happening, every time I have a panic attack about to come on, I literally like, I have to shut the world out. Ow! I just kicked my chair. It's fine. I know y'all just be like, what the fuck is wrong with this girl? I'm 24 years old and I have a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M. But I literally like have to sit there and do breathing methods where I count in for 4. I do count, like breathe in for 4, hold for 5, breathe out for 7. I don't think those are the actual like numbers, but it's the one that I remember to do. So I literally have to count my breaths and hold my breath. And I have to alter it to that kind, because the one that like actually like that it actually is, I think it's like in for 4, hold for 6, blow out for 7 or something like that. But basically holding my breath, even though it's for a couple of seconds while I'm in the middle of a panic attack and I'm already hyperventilating, it like emphasizes like I can't breathe, I can't get air in. And so it makes me panic more. And so my hold period needs to be shorter and my breathe out period needs to be longer. And so that's why in for 4, and I do a slow count. I literally go 1, 2, 3, 4. But when I have to count for 5 for holding it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then out for 7. Because I need long inhales and long exhales. But the breathing is just for me to like force myself to slow it down, basically. And so I have to have short hold periods. But no, like, and literally, like, sometimes I do the whole, like, 5 things that you see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things that you can, I don't remember it. As you can tell, I don't do it often. Honestly, because by the time I do, like, 5 things I can see, 4 things I can feel, I'm typically good. Because by that time, I've been counting. Like, that is like, oh, I can't calm it down. Time to touch a bunch of things, you know? So by that time, I'm typically good. But yeah, no, like she's so real for that. Her panic attacks and just like how they just come out of nowhere. Like she'll literally be chilling and there's like someone says one thing and you're just like, oh, here she goes again. But like, no, that's literally how panic attack feels. Like you're literally just sitting there and you're like, okay, my heart's racing. Okay, I want to like rip off my clothes because suddenly the collar of my shirt is too tight. Like, love. Anyways, so yeah, that's why I like fictional books. Berries and cream. I'm a little lad who loves berries and cream. Anyways, I'm gonna go read this email and probably have a panic attack because I don't think it's a good email, but that's my life. My socials are forever and always. I'm sorry, I accidentally cut myself off. My socials are forever always in the show notes, and yeah, I'm gonna go back to reading. Gonna get whatever.